Hey team, Matty 231, final part 4 episode of the E55 W211 rebuild job thing, whatever we want to call it now, the mess. This is going to be the last episode. We're going to fit everything into one video, getting this beauty back together. If you haven't checked out part 1, 2 and 3, check them out because yeah, especially part 3, we had a bit of a headache last part with a few things. So we put all the oil pans back, but I've now since removed them. So they're back out of the car, and I've nearly cleaned them up so they're ready to be installed again, and we've ordered the new parts we need to get that stuff sorted. So as you'll see here, I stupidly cut my oil dipstick tube, forgetting that if it's not submerged in the oil, because it's so high up now, I imagine there would be PCV leakage issues. There might not be, but I would be pretty confident there would be. So I've got a new oil dipstick coming, and I won't do that again. And basically, rather than trying to install the dipstick after the fact, we're going to install it as soon as we insert the upper pan with the sealant on it ready to reseal. So I've pulled the pan off. I've already cleaned up the surfaces mostly, give them another once over, disconnected the bottom pan, cleaned it up. Unfortunately, it's not as beautiful as it was when I got it back from vapor blasting. Finishing the upper pan. Again, I'll scrape all that off, and yeah, it'll still look mint. Once it's all back together, it'll look good. If anything, I'm going to try and use less sealant this time because there was quite a bit of spillage. Well, not really, but you know, like a millimetre or so of spillage into the case there. And at the front as well, it was sort of seeping up the front here, so I want to try and have it look real nice and clean. So we'll try and do that. We've also ordered from FCP Euro some new sway bar clamps which you need to replace, and I also need to buy some new spark plugs too, since mine are a little bit average. So I'll probably go to rockauto.com and buy those and get some NGKs. Cool, so what we're going to do, team, is bring the car down and we're going to replace that upper airmatic line. Cool, so we've got some new airmatic hose here, team. In the last episode, right at the end, we were removing the old airmatic hose. So this is the old hose here for the green left-hand side airmatic connector. So basically it runs under here through the back, under the cowling. What I want to do is try and get it so I don't have to go and pull all the stuff out. Ideally I can follow the existing hose. Maybe we can pull it through with the old one and pull the old one out. So we'll remove this here and then see what's underneath. So Tim, we've just routed these hoses off the bottom here. Unfortunately, this hose here is slightly newer. To be honest, I don't even know if this is the right hose exactly. They're pretty much the same exact diameter though, so it'll be fine. It's a slightly bluer looking hose which goes to this one here. Worst case, if there's a leak, we'll replace it with another airmatic hose, but I'm pretty sure it's the same. They're pretty much vacuum hoses basically. So I've routed that down there. You can see the factory one goes along this bundle and under this washer box and stuff, and then up. I'm probably going to avoid that. I've put mine instead under the battery holder here. I'm just going to try and, with my hand, keep threading it through over this little lip. And at the end of the day, I can cut a little bit of the end off. Yeah, there we go. I've just got to hope it doesn't hit stuff on the way out, which I can feel it doing. I just need it to get far up enough that I can see it poke through here, so I can pull it through, and then I think most of it will be not too difficult from there on out. Yes, I keep
through there. Yeah, it's obviously not going to be definitively factory looking, but it'll be pretty bloody close. You're not going to really notice. I think it's coming up through here. So yeah, pull it through and then thread it back through there. I'll zip tie it down where I can. I'll attach it back onto this harness here before it folds underneath, and yeah, keep pulling it through. We hopefully won't need to take any of the cowling out. Let's continue. Cool team, so just off camera, it's just a bit hard to film in these tight spaces. I've threaded through this aromatic line. So without moving all this out of the way, which I just really am not interested in, I took these little clips out here on the cowling and then basically got the line and sort of folded it through, just got a big enough gap here to fold it, pop it through. This stuff's a bit softer down here. Pop it through, then sort of thread it under the brake booster, even though this doesn't have a brake booster as such, but thread it under the brake master slave cylinder there, then just sort of wrapped it under some of these cables and then got it right up here. So it's good to go. There's the old hose still connected. I'm going to cut that off. Down here, team, we've got the hose ready to sort of be, you know, wired in. I'll just cut these down as well, just to fit how they need to be. And then up the top here, again, I'll zip tie some of these through. We've got the 2 channels here. We'll put those back in. I would actually like to just clean these up. They're a little bit dirty. It folds under here, zip tie there, goes down here. So the original hose here, team, goes under this washer bottle down the back there. I've sort of skipped that and just gone under, bugger, I didn't get it under that wire there, doesn't matter, but anyway, under there through the gap there, pops basically out where the old one is there, but my one goes up here and sort of behind this piece, which is near the window wiper motor system. Obviously I was a bit concerned whether those might get in the way, or the pipe might get in the way of those window wipers and, I don't know, get it caught somewhere and snap it in half while I'm driving with the rain coming down. But using my camera, it looks like they're just solid metal parts where it connects to here and the gearbox is separate, so that should not interfere with anything there, so that's cool. Yeah, so I think it's a better way to do it, rather than me trying to, you know, I cut it by accident, rather than trying to have a connector connecting the new to old and then having the old stuff through. Just spend the 30 minutes I've just done now getting this routed through. We'll cut this off and put our new brass fitting on, and then plug it in. Cool team, so the left hose goes in. Done. Let's get the valve body done. Right team, so we've got our top struts all connected up again, and then we've got our new aromatic connections here for the black line, which is the input from the pump, our yellow here, which is for the left strut here, and then our green, which is for the right strut. So that's our green, that's our yellow, and our black one's on the floor down here. So I'm going to install these two first. So just pull the little fitting out like that. Okay. I'm going to try and find a yellow paint pen to attach this to. I've got this a little bit long still. I'm just going to keep it long just in case I need to adjust it later. I wonder if, no, I won't cut any of it, it's fine. Cool. So just push it balanced. Yeah, see, so that hasn't grabbed on, team. You're just got to be careful that it does actually insert, because you don't want it to pop out later on. Doesn't want to grab on, does it? The other one's grabbed on fine, but this one doesn't want to grab on. I'm just going to cut it very slightly. It's a shame I don't have the proper, I wouldn't even say the proper, but just the more suitable tool to cut this rather than using pliers. There we go. Yeah, just gotta be mindful that you don't bend it too much. If this doesn't grab, team, we're gonna have to unfortunately disassemble it and see why. Usually I time lapse all this, but I thought it'd just be nice to like do it live with you guys, but as usual something goes, or doesn't go how I wanted it to. So yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Okay, let me fix it. Cool, look at that, team, nice and new, looks perfect. So new hoses in. It's just also flippin' fragile. You just gotta be very careful, like to get this seated properly. Is you got to push it quite hard, but you also don't want to bend or kink the wire. Yeah. Anyway, some things I'm concerned about with the Matty is obviously things like this here, like the wiring harnesses. They've got like fabric around them that wraps around before the cable tie. Not the wiring harness, sorry, cable ties. So I don't have that on my one. You can actually see there, team. You can probably see a bit of shining on there where it's rubbed over the years. So I'm picking at some point we're probably gonna have to replace those lines as well on the Matty. But yeah, we've got these here. See, there's this little like protection rubber here. So make sure it's not gonna rub on that. At the end of the day, like these hoses, obviously down here they're gonna move a little bit because this has a bit of a suspension, rubber suspension-y sort of thing it hangs on. So it'll move around a little bit. So, you know, parts like up here and up here further where we have cable ties, I can't see it being an issue of chafing and rubbing, but hey, maybe, you know, maybe it could do, and if it does, then we're just going to have to fix them later on. But I think for now everything looks pretty good. It's a lot better than it was. Hopefully these new Matty lines here, you know, I've tried and kept it as factory looking as possible, but hopefully these new Matty lines fix my sagging suspension, because these are brand new struts. Anyway, let's continue. Righto, team, so putting the front of the engine back together, waiting for our parts to arrive. We're going to install our alternator. So we've got a brand new Bosch OEM alternator for this car, which is right here. Our old one's somewhere, it was in the box, but here's our brand new Bosch OEM. Yeah. Oh, that's heavy. Bosch OEM unit. Probably factory, but not factory.
Doesn't have the Mercedes logo on it, but basically it mounts into place here. These two bolts here. From the old alternator, we also have a couple of little brackets that need to go on it as well. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. So we've got these long Torx bolts, so I'm just going to clean the heads up on them just so it looks good. And yeah, literally fit them back in. They're both the same bolts. And this part here looks like it was on the bottom. Has like a little special connection there on the bottom. And a little cap at the end, and that was it. A little cap for the plug. There's only 2 connections on the alternator, so it's nice and simple. So let's clean these up and get the alternator installed in place. All done. Look up there, and the plug. Looks nice. Right team, so we've got some fresh bolts, fresh cam sprocket bolts. That's the part number there. And these are for the camshaft sprocket specifically. So they're stretch bolts, so you've got to replace them. Well, at least as far as I'm aware, you have to replace them. It's probably not a bad idea, considering they literally control the timing of the whole engine. If one of them fails or doesn't hold properly, then you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So all I'm going to do is undo them here. And be very careful you don't frickin' knock it and then the sprocket comes off the camshaft. Like that. So that's the original. Are they much longer? I suppose very slightly. You can see at the end there it's maybe like 0.5 millimeter longer. Again, hence why we want to put brand new ones in. So we'll thread that through, and then all we... Oh, now see, this is stupid. This is me being a bit of a cowboy. Be careful you don't drop the bolt down the bloody hole where the timing chain... down the hole there and losing it in the timing case. Thankfully our bottom oil pan is off still while we wait for our new... when I wait for the new oil dipstick to come in. So I'll chuck it in like that. Now, we need to actually reinsert our timing tools to make sure we can torque these bolts up correctly. So as I was saying, they're 50 Newton meters and then a 90-degree turn to tighten them up. So, and then we've got them set, and it means we're nearly good to put the covers back on basically, even though we're not going to do that for a little while yet. Still waiting for my head covers to come back from the place where I got the vapor blasting done, because they're putting a exciting new color on them and getting them back to new condition. So we'll unveil that later in the episode as well. Cool. 50-50, 90-90. Let's do it. Sweet guys, so that's all done. 5-minute job. You'll see I put the timing camshaft lockers back on. I should have left them on actually, but I put them back on just to make sure that you're not putting any undue stress obviously on the chain itself, because if I left it off and only just had one side locked down obviously, then the sprocket's going to move, the whole valve train's going to potentially move, you know, possibly skip a tooth or break or something. Very unlikely, but better safe than sorry. You know, I'm putting quite a lot of torque on there when you're doing that stretch, second stage stretch by 90 degrees. And the way I do that, team, is I do have one of those, I'd grab it if it was close enough off the shelf, but one of those dials that shows you a 360 degree circle, and you can use that to measure 90 degrees. But if you just think of a clock face, 12 to 3 is 90 degrees, 12 to 6 is 180 degrees, and then a full circle is 360 degrees. So I'm very familiar with that. I'm sure a lot of you also are. So I just simply marked on the 9 o'clock position a blue dot, and then just twisted the bolt till it was at 12 o'clock. These 90 degrees, done. You don't need any special tools or anything. Just be as accurate as you can. So 90 degrees is easy. If it was 130 degrees, then it's a little more tricky. You're going to be going 90 plus about 40, so about that far. So you just got to be mindful of that. You've also got to be mindful of if there's a three-stage process where you might have to do each, 50 newton meters, then 90 degrees, and then another, 180 degrees or something. Some of them have random stages like that. That's when you can start to lose track of where these little dots and things are. So keep a little piece of paper with what stage you're at on them. Cool, done, let's continue. Right team, next day. Excitingly, we've got our new AC compressor, and no, that's the old one. The new one's in here. So let's have a look. Now again, I'm not a fan for non-genuine products, but when times are tough, you've got to save money where you can. And I've already put one of these into my 210, and it's been, I don't know, about 8 months or so, and it's working really well. It's spring here in New Zealand, so it's approaching summer, and I've been testing out the compressor on that car, and it's been working really well. So if you don't know the supplier of this product, it's a company called JBH Auto in New Zealand. Obviously it's just all Chinese imported stuff, which I'm not a big fan of, but as I say, it seems to be decent enough quality, and also a little bit cheaper as well than genuine. So yeah, looks like it's well made. Very similar design and everything to the other one. I don't know if these are refurbished or whether they're literally just just a direct copy. But basically this compressor here, so when you get the compressor, obviously you got your I believe your input, and then your output will be the smaller hose here. I could be wrong, it could be the other way around, it doesn't really matter. But when they give you these are the seals on them, so you have to undo. These are the Torx bit, and you will find when you take them off, they pop off because there's a bit of pressure in there. I don't know whether they've got whether there's a vacuum in there, not a vacuum, but a positive pressure in there, or whether it's actually got some gas in it maybe. So yeah, I don't actually know, but just take those off. And then we've got our main hose here. I'm actually just going to give it a quick clean up, see if I can clean some of the grime off, because obviously we've made all of this pretty nice now, and we've got all our nice new componentry. So I'm going to see if I can clean that, and then I've just got a brand new O-ring for it. Then I'm going to put a bit of nylog grease on, and then yeah, we can shove that sucker in there, put them in, and while the subframe's not in, it's going to make putting this thing in so easy. Whereas if you were doing it with the cut, with everything in, it'd be a bit of a bitch of a job, but it should be nice and simple. And then I'll probably actually wait, in retrospect, I'll wait until everything's back together before I do this one, which comes out here and plugs into the condenser or the dryer at the front of the engine from memory. Oops, so let's lift the car up a little bit, get into it. So team, we've got the power steering pump back in, we've got the compressor back in, we've got the main hose back in for the air compressor, and also, just while we're here, don't forget, we've also got a ground cable here that attaches to the back of the power steering pump, and that touches the frame. So make sure you install those things and torque these down to 20 Newton meters respectively. So we've got a new power steering pump seal, and that basically sits over the little lip here. And then in addition to that, we also have two other things. We've got the power steering clip, and this clip here holds the tank onto the snout of the power steering pump, and then the tank slides over the seal. To be honest, it's a bit of a bastard. I think there is a specific way to do it. Usually, I want to just clean that carefully. I think normally, I can't remember. I think we put the seal on here first, team, and then we push the tank on, and the tank sort of goes over the seal here and locks in place with this little clip. It is a bit of a pain, so you've got to sort of jiggle it around to get it in properly. But here's our power steering pump tank, and this is a brand new OEM. I think Euro parts are OEM, yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. But this is the tank here. So you've got your main feed that goes obviously through that hole into the pump, and then you've got your low pressure return. And it's got a little ugly logo on it. It's not the genuine one, but doesn't matter. Yeah, I think the genuine ones probably are a little bit better quality, you know, but it's better than having a 20-year-old tank in there. Nice clean white inside. And this little groove here sits in that. Yeah, so generally I try and press it on first, then I put the screw through here, through this hole on the timing case. And the torque for that would be something probably like 10 Newton meters, 9 to 10 Newton meters, I'd imagine. But it's not really important as long as it's good and tight, like Trishan would say. So yeah, what I'm going to do is just quickly clean that input up and then plug it on. And then you'll also note, just before in the video, this hose here before is our power steering low pressure return. And it was very dirty. All of this sort of webbing here was full of gunk. So I pulled it off, put in a bit of water for a while, a bit of soapy water, cleaned it. It's not perfect, but it's pretty much mint. And then I wiped all the excess buildup of oil on here, and then used some rubber protectant. And it's literally like a brand new hose. It's still perfectly squishy. It's good as gold, so don't need to buy a new one. And that just sits on the back there, and it pops out the bottom, like you might have seen in the original video when we pulled all this apart. So I'm just gonna connect this to the back here first, then I'm going to install the tank with this hose already in place, so I don't have to sort of get in the gap there and install it. And what was that? I can't remember what that was. There's no electrical connector on the pump? No. I actually can't remember what that's used for. It could be for something else. I think I might have just threaded it through the front here, but to be honest, I don't remember. Anyway, we'll find out later on when I've got to dig back in to put something in somewhere I've missed. It's just a shame the pump's not new like everything else on the front of the engine here. Team's like brand new. Alternator, brand new AC compressor, unfortunately. And this is probably the cheapest replacement. I don't have a new power steering pump, but this one works fine. And once the bumper and everything's back on, you're never going to see this ever again. So, oh well. Yeah, that's going to do it. Cool, that was a lot easier than I thought actually. So yeah, put the seal on the snout of the pump team, and then basically push this, line it up nice and straight, and then just give it a good push. And you should just hear it click in. Then if you check over the back, you'll see the tank is right against the end of the snout, and then you can slide your little clamp tool that I showed you in. Then you can tighten this up. Again, 8-9 Newton meters. I've just done it up hand tight. It'll be fine. And then we've now got our hose here ready to go back into the steering system oil cooler, where it's got two metal prongs that come onto the front of the condenser of the air conditioning system. So that's ready to go, that one. Put the little plug back in there, and yeah, then we've got to put obviously our we've still got to attach our original high pressure line that comes out here via a banjo bolt and attaches to the subframe, so it's down on the floor behind us, and that's going to then run the steering rack. And the steering rack has the return line that comes up here, and it sits right below this, and then it goes through the cooler and then back into the tank. So yeah, that's all good, team. We've also got these little spare plugs now that came with the new bits and pieces we've got, so I'm going to keep these. I always just collect them, so if I'm ever pulling engines apart, I've got the ability to plug holes with all different sorts of cap sizes, so don't throw those out. Keep them on hand, and yeah. So thankfully it's quite a small pump, so you don't really see a lot of the mess, but yeah, it looks pretty nice so far. Everything coming back together. We just need to get our oil pans on the bottom, which I've just got my dipstick. I've taken it into a local engineer actually here in my town, and they're re-extending it for me after I stupidly cut it in half. So that's going to cost me another $100 and something. But I can't find a brand new oil dipstick, nor can I find a second-hand one. So again, don't do something stupid like I did there. But anyway, let's continue. We are now going to move on, team, to reinstalling our oil filter housing and our oil exchange, oil cooling exchanger that have thankfully been vapor blasted as well. So again, this will be a very simple process. So we've got these two parts here. A seal goes in this housing here. This sits on top. Now Matty 231, you got it the wrong way around, it goes that way. There we go. And then we've got our, as I say, our oil supply lines come through here, and then this just mounts sort of like this basically. And yeah, now thankfully, I don't know if I videoed it, sorry, I don't think I did, but I pulled the little grub screw out here where the supercharger is, and I've sucked out a little bit of, yes, that little grub screw right there, Tim, with the little green mark. I've sucked a bit of oil out. It was actually a bit of a bastard to get out, to be honest. I sucked about 30 mils out, and then I pumped back in about 40 mils of Jet A1, not Jet A1, that's fuel, jet turbine oil basically. And yeah, and that's a lot easier to get to. Whereas if you reinstall everything, then, you know, good luck getting your stuff in there to do it. It's not impossible because I've done it before, but if you've got everything out of the way, it's a lot easier. So we've got new seals for here, new seal here, new seal here, new seal at the bottom. This doesn't have any seals specifically, it just clamps on like that. And then our two oil lines go into there. Cool, let's continue. Team, so coming back together nicely, we've just put the oil filter housing back in. So there's these 4 bolts here. One's a super long one, that's at the back here on the top. I've torqued them down to 9 newton meters. We will obviously reattach the oil lines here towards the end. They're 10 newton meters. And then the big bolt that you saw me do up, that bolt needs to be torqued down to 70 newton meters. One thing I've noticed with vapor blasting is that a lot of the threads in these cast components, I don't know, they get like really dried out, and you probably saw me fiddling around with this one quite a lot. I couldn't get the oil filter housing bolt to bite properly, so probably not the wisest thing to do, although not necessarily anything wrong with it, but I've chucked again a little bit of this on the thread just to let it slide in nicely, because it was biting and it actually was sort of getting caught on the thread when I was screwing it in, which is not a good thing. So I just used a bit of that to grease it up, and it's gone right in now and it's perfect. So just a reminder, the 46mm socket for that big bolt, that's the only time I've ever used this. It's just for that bolt specifically. And I've also got a 3/4 inch to a 1/2 inch adapter for that. Cool. So filters in as well. Filters in place. I don't know why it's got all that on it all of a sudden. New O-rings, torque down. I'm not going to do it up yet, obviously, because what I'm going to do is when we have everything back together, we're going to refill oil through this hole here, which I'm pretty sure leads straight down to the check valve above the pump. So I'm going to fill that just to give it some initial sort of oil there, so it's not just, there's no cavitation as such, it's not sucking in air. And then, we'll refill it with oil through there, and we'll probably, fill it mostly, obviously, just through the standard oil filler once we've got the covers back on. But for now, everything's looking pretty good. I probably won't do much more than that team right now. What I have been doing off camera, which I'll show you here, is we've been putting nice brand new genuine wiring harness clips on. So you'll see here, these are the old ones, and over the years from all the heat cycles, they break. This one was a good one. Like the harness itself, like all the plastic around here is just broken off. You can literally snap bits of it off, right? So what we've done is we've bought brand new adapters. Here's the part number for you guys, 203545. And they're cheap. They're like, I don't know, $3 or $4 or $5 or something. And they're genuine, got the little logo on them. And basically all we're doing is pressing the pins out using my little pin tool. And the way I've been doing that, I'll video it, guys, is we've been pinching these up and then pressing out these pins and then reinsetting the brand new one on. And obviously these are brand spanking new, manufactured 2021, 23. Yeah, no, so they're only a year old. They've got the brand new rubber seal as well. And then, so I've done the first two. I just need to do these back two. But you can see how that's done. And we'll keep continuing on. I might work on maybe putting the coolant tank back in place. Maybe not yet. I'm not actually sure, to be honest. We're just waiting for our oil dipstick to come in so we can put the bottom pans back on. But we might keep reassembling some of the front of the engine here. few weeks later. It's really dragging out now. Sorry, I've got a cold, I've got a flu as well. Second flu this year, which is weird. I don't normally get more than one flu a year. Anyway, so my local engineer repaired my butchered oil dipstick tube. They even curved it for me as well. I gave them a piece of wire basically shaped how I wanted the tube to go. So pretty much perfect. You can see there it reaches pretty much near the bottom of the pan. So, you know, I can't remember exactly what it looked like originally. It could have been slightly longer. I'm not going to worry about it though. It'll be fine. I doubt we'll have any issues with that. What we're doing now, team, lift the car up and we're going to reseal this upper pan in place. And yeah, just get shit moving because it's really starting to stall. So it's really starting to frustrate me, this job. So yeah, let's get it wrapped up. Oh, another thing, the V12s, by every fault of my own, has a nice little coolant leak because there's a pulley I'm replacing in here. And when you pull this fan out, it scratches against this hose, and this hose, over the years, me doing it back and forth, has now caused that to start leaking, that hose to start leaking at the radiator attachment. So now that car, I can't really drive it. So I need to order a new hose for that car. Cool, let's continue. Hallelujah. Okay, so dipstick's in, team. It's fixed to the back of the head, so you'll just see me at the last bit of the video there, just bolting the bolt onto the back there. Everything's just an absolute effing mess. Driving me nuts, but I can't be bothered tightening anything up. I'm just getting this done. So that's in place. Our lower pan's on. My siliconing was a lot better. You probably saw parts where I had really nice perfect straight beads, and then some parts where I was stuffing it up still. But regardless, a lot better. We've put all our bolts back in, so our inner bolts and also our external bolts here. We've got our dipstick in place. Again, I still don't know if it's perfect, you know, where it really should be, but I think it'll be fine. If we do have any issues later on with the car, if there is any sort of escape of crankcase pressure through that hole here, I'll just end up plugging it real strongly with something, and that'll is what it is. You know, it's a bit of a cock up, but oh well, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so all we need to do now is put our bottom pan on and our little baffle plate thing as well that we took off just before. So once we get that stuff on, I've just received in the last day some stuff from FCP Euro. So our brand new sway bar can be bolted onto the subframe properly. And then yeah, once we've got the bottom pan on, got that sway bar hooked up, cleaned the mounting holes in the subframe, so we'll just cut into them. We'll just what do you call it? Using like a threading tool to just cut in and pull out any gunk that's in the subframe rails. Sorry, not subframe rails, in the chassis rails. Any like bit of rust or corrosion. So we're just basically cutting and cleaning the threads so that we can put our brand new subframe bolts in to hold the engine in place. And then once we've got that back in, we're just hooking everything up again. Front crash bar, radiator, new radiator, all the hosing back in the front, and then our fresh bumper as well. So we're getting there. It's been a lot longer of a journey, but we're getting there. Let's continue.
team, so we're doing the lower pan now. You just saw me put the baffle plate back in. Just put a bit more gasket stripper on here. We'll just give it another quick run over, clean it with brake cleaner, and then we're good to put a sealant on and reseal it to the bottom of the car. So let's continue. Oh, deja vu, deja vu, deja vu. So all the pans back in again now for the second time. Lower pans in, torque to 9 Newton meters. Little bit of a hack job on that, it's a bit of sealant there. The front's pretty good though. Especially this top one, it's a lot better than it was last time. Last time we had quite a thick black bead coming out. So, yeah, cool. Right, so we've got that back in. Now this bolt here, team, is threaded. And you can see how bad it is. It's just wobbling there. So we've got a bit of a problem with that because there's not really any other closer, I might just clean that up quickly, not many other closer bolts apart from this one and this one. So I'm picking that's gonna leak if we don't fix that. So what we're gonna do, what I'm gonna do tomorrow is try and find, maybe there's a helicoil, I think it's called, get a helicoil kit. So trying to thread that hole on the upper pan. It's obviously soft aluminium, so trying to fix it with helicoil so we can get that to bite to 9 Newton meters, because right now it's literally loose, so it's not good. Otherwise, everything else is looking good. We've got a sort of complete engine again now. I'm just paranoid I've forgotten something, But we'll put our oil level sensor back in, and also we've got some new drain plugs. So we've got some stuff arrived from FCP Euro, which is cool. Oh, I thought this would be handy. It's like a drain plug keeper, so I always use these black gloves to take drain plugs out, but I always get my hands dirty straight away. So I literally put the glove on and throw it out as soon as I've taken the thing off. And this looks pretty old, it's all, packaging's a bit stuffed. But yeah, you chuck it on the bolt and turn it and it pulls it out without you putting your hands by the bolt. Good as well when it's hot, oil's hot. Then we've got very well packaged spark plugs just biffed in here. 16 in total for the V8. I probably could have done better packaging of that, to be honest, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I suppose I don't need to bring it up. New, is that genuine? Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's good. New oil cap, oil hose, dipstick, fucking something, whatever. I don't know. Just got some spare oil dipstick gasket seals as well. And here's the two suckers that we've been waiting for. Damn, these from 2009. Wow, these are old as. These have been sitting on the shelf for 15 years. So these are our caps, team, that go on here. Like that, I think. Yeah, over the top like that. Then that mounts into the bottom of the subframe. Cool. And there's two of those. Please be 2. Yeah, that's the other one that was built in 2010. So that one's 14 years old. Fire up. And it's like, they say they're like mandatory to replace. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. Oh yeah, I bought team a star, a center cap star. Not to put on the car. Well, in saying that, we might actually put it on the car. But the center cap star to replace the one on our engine cover there, see? Apparently this 75mm hubcap star is the same exact size as the one that they put in on those hood caps. I'm sure they're slightly different, but roughly accurate. And then what else did we buy? Oh yeah, a couple of new oil drain plugs. So we'll actually fit those now onto the pan while we're there. And I bought another stock of Matty. Oh, these are the older ones, I think. Yeah, interesting. See, the newer ones, or the other ones I've got, have the sort of flat brass base at the bottom. Whereas these ones don't have that. I don't think it matters though. I think it's all much of a muchness. Yeah. So spark plugs. Honestly, this place is a flippin' tip. Yeah, away you go. Come on. Yeah. Fuck. Cool. So let's chuck in. So we'll put these spark plugs in shortly, and we'll put our new covers on. And we'll chuck these new bolts in quickly, new drain plugs. I've got the old drain plugs here. I might throw them out because I feel like over time when you tighten them, untighten them, tighten them, untighten them, over tighten them, they do lose their seal, and sometimes it's hard to get them to not leak. And finally, as you'll see here, because I haven't gone over it yet, I had these down the road locally get vapor blasted, then powder coated in like a gunmetal grey. It's growing on me. At first I was a little bit sort of like, maybe not, but it's growing on me. And also ceramic coated, which apparently helps repel all the oil, because as you can see, oil over the years eats away at these covers. These ones aren't too bad actually. On the C55 I had a couple of years ago, the 203 C55, they were horrible. But look how nice and clean these are inside these breather covers. And just another thing, team, make sure those holes there, see? Make sure those are clear whenever you do your covers, because they can get blocked up. And even these channels here, I'm going to go through and just give it a quick wire wheel and a quick brake clean. But you want to make sure they're nice and clean as well, because when we seal these on with gasket sealer, we don't want the flipping things leaking all over the engine bay again, because those leaking are what caused ultimately my belt to snap and wrap itself around the crank pulley. Cool. Yeah, let's just do a few quick little tidy ups, put those things in the bottom and we're done. Right team, so putting the sway bar in, we've got our new cats as I just sort of showed you, new sway bar. So all I'm looking at really is the torque. Retaining brackets must be replaced, remember? Yeah, it's all in reverse order. So the front engine mount to front axle carrier, the self-locking nut of connecting rod to torsion bar, no, it's not that. Retaining bracket front end. Okay. So the cap is 50 Newton meters of torque, so not too heavy, but still a decent amount. And what's interesting, team, with these here, these new mounts. So if I put this one on here, they've got little notches where those grooves sit on.
but you'll see how the new one barely touches, or doesn't even touch. It doesn't even mount properly. So obviously when we put these on, it's really going to compress down. Whereas when we took the old ones off, I could be wrong, but I think because they were like that for so long, they were sort of already molded around the rubber bushing a bit. Hence why they probably tell you to replace these. So yeah, so we'll get those torqued down. I've got brand new bolts. Oh, sorry, not brand new bolts. Cleaned up the originals. I can avoid buying everything brand new, that'd be good. So we'll chuck these in and torque them down to 50. And then we're good to go. Thankfully also, I just fixed off camera, because it's nothing special to look at, using a recoil kit, or a helicoil as some people call it. Re-threaded this hole here and screwed this in real tight. Whereas as you saw before, it was literally just loose in there. So hopefully that's not going to leak, but at least I can say I did the best. Because the V12 still very, 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 very slightly weeps at the bottom, even after reinstalling it. But that was my first ever engine job, so yeah, let's continue. Right, so excuse the rain. Got the subframe on the jack here, nice and easy. It'll just give me more room to just get it into place rather than trying to, I don't know, balance it on that or whatever. So we've cleaned up these holes. I've actually got a bit of, you might have saw the can for it. I've put it back on the shelf, but just sort of like an anti-rust protectant sort of spray that you use on marine applications. Just because these can get a bit sort of etched out and rust over time. So I've just chucked a bit of that on. Everything else is back in. I've cleaned up the steering boot, ready for this to go back on. So I might actually tie that up, or just sort of get it to stay up for now. And yeah, and we'll lift it up into the car. Hopefully it's sort of easy to get all this back in place. I'm only doing it by myself, and then we can start reattaching everything. Now apparently you're not supposed to cut these holes, so I've already cut them. Thankfully they actually were very clean already, and there was very minimal gunk that came out of them, so I'm not too worried. But yeah, apparently you're not supposed to cut them. You're only supposed to cut the back subframe holes, so whatever, I don't care. They'll be fine. So we'll lift this up and get it back in place. And yeah, hoses are ready. Everything's torqued down 50 newton meters. Beautiful new sway bar. Clamps. Very expensive just to replace this, but anyway, got our brand new bolts that go into the bottom here. They're M10 bolts. What else? That's it. We might do a little bit more cleaning up as well of this just area once we've got it back in the car again. But everything on top's looking really nice and clean and fresh. So good to go. Righty team, so you saw me battle away there getting the subframe back in, so it's all in now, which is nice. I've torqued these bolts up to about 120 newton meters. I don't even know what the published torque specs are for them. It's not even in WIS. You go to rear axle carrier and it doesn't tell you what the flipping torque specs for it are.
It tells you what the torque specs are for some front longitudinal member, which is obviously these long guards here that come off the chassis, but they don't tell you what the bolt itself attaches to the car at, so fuck, I'm just guessing. But I do know that these ones here are 100 Newton meters. The tops are 50 and the bottom's 100. This one's torqued up perfectly. This one, unfortunately, has been a bit of a bastard, and it won't fully torque to 100, and I don't want to keep turning it because it's probably going to strip the thread out of the bloody body of the car. So it's still very tight. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to leave it. If it becomes a problem, I'll deal with it later, but at this stage I really can't be fucked messing with any more holes and recutting and heli-coiling holes and all that shit. I'm just sick of it. I want to put the car back together. And it's not loose like the oil pan was, so I can't see there being any issues. So everything's looking cool though. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to drop the car down and we're going to take our engine support off, then come back underneath and reconnect the engine mounts to the car, and also attach our steering column bolt with some fresh thread locker on it. So we've got basically the hole underneath the car reattached, and everything's just loosely done up for now. But yeah, we're coming back together, thank God. Right team, so back on the floor, just off camera, I'm going to quickly attach our hose. We've got obviously our large hose going into the AC compressor. I just need to connect our small hose as well. So taking off that little protective cover there, installing the hose. Then I also need to install our what do you call it? Not air conditioning, our power steering pump clamp. What I might do is I would like to replace this because it is pretty busted. The problem is though, I sort of can't get it off because it's like literally clamped permanently onto the tube here. So I'll see what I can do, and then I'll buy one that just folds over the top and you don't have to like bind it together. Oh, actually, see that tab there, team? Let's pull that off and then we'll be good. Yeah, so I'm just going to do that off camera. It's nice and easy. I've got a bolt there and it just connects back into the side of the steering pump here as well. Just make sure you've got your two washers in place as well. Right team, so we've taken the tie rod ends off. It looks like there's been anti-seize on these threads, or it's just surface rust, I'm not sure. But we'll clean them up. You'll see the inner tie rod here is in perfect condition. There's no play in the ball joint. The boots were original as well. They're original boots. So I'm putting Lem 4 to OEM aftermarket, Lem 4 to OEM boots on to replace them. But yeah, the boots are original and there was nothing wrong with them. But yeah, they're 20 years old now. Let's replace them. They are starting to look a bit old, bit worse for wear, but there's been no leaking. The ram within the steering rack looks nice and clean. There's no clear dust or dirt or water ingress, which is good. So all we'll do now is install our new boot and put our new tie rod end on.
And because the car's going to get a wheel alignment pretty much straight after this, I'm just going to put the new tie rods, which again are LM4 to OEM, put them to about 40, I measured 42 millimeters from the top of the thread here to where the end of the tie rod itself stops. So we'll just do that on both sides because they're both the same, and which is a good sign. And we will, get it properly wheel aligned, and everything will be re-torqued down when it gets aligned. So for now, I'll just lightly do it up. Yeah. Cool. So we just chuck it over there like that. It's pretty simple, team. Just like that. And then you do unfortunately need a specific tool to do these clamps up here. So these tools here, you basically set where it's gonna, what notch it's gonna sit in. So whether it's in, sorry, as you can see in the camera, see the little teeth on the thing there? So you need to make sure it sits in one of those notches, pick what notch it sits in, and then you crimp this here with this. So you crimp it together and it tightens it around the boot to make sure it's not coming off. Unfortunately, I should have probably done this when the rack was out, because you probably saw me trying to squeeze my tool in there. The top of the crimp was up here, so I had to sort of squeeze in to get around that. That's fine. Cool, easy as that, team. That's that there. So then, yeah, I'll just set that crimp to quite far back. Actually, it's pretty. Yeah, I could probably, without it slipping through my hands. Yeah, there we go. Get onto that one there, and then I'll just tighten it on there. Put my new clean, what do you call it? New little fitting. And it's really as easy as that. Now before I actually do that, I just do want to check. Yeah, see? Don't just do it up there, guys. Gotta push it on a bit more first. Right, team, so underneath the car we're sort of sorted for now. Everything's sort of done, really. Everything from sort of backwards from here is finished. So torque down to 50 plus 90 degree turn. We have just hand tightened our shock absorber, our control to axle carrier, and our other control arm or torque, I think it's called, to axle carrier. Just hand tightened for now. I'm going to get the wheel alignment people to tighten those to the full torque specs. Excuse me. 130 newton meters, 130 newton meters. Those are torqued down now. And actually, as you can see here, I've put it under strain to get the wheel up close to what it's like at factory height on the road. And I've torqued this down to 130. So when I did this last time, I did it on the floor with my hand using my 1/2 inch ratchet, and that's never really at all close to 130 newton meters. It's probably 40 at max. So I'm wondering if there's possibly a chance a bit of the knockings coming from these not being torqued down properly originally. So hopefully that is the case, and now we've got a nice quiet setup, because other than that there's nothing wrong with any suspension components here. The only next thing would be the upper control arm, but I doubt that would be a problem really. So anyway, cool, so that's done. What we're going to do now, I do want to clean this up a little bit more before we put the car back on the floor, but for now I'm going to leave it. Cleaned up this a little bit quickly, hoses back in. I need to buy a new sort of clip to hold this in place. and I haven't torqued down yet the banjo bolt to the steering pump. So we'll drop the car down now, and we're basically going to just start putting back together the top part. We're going to put that one bolt in. There's a bolt right there, the top of the case here. We're going to put that back in, torque it down to 20, also the one on the left of it, because I had to lift the supercharger. Is that right? Actually, yes. No. Yeah. So see that hole there? That's where that bolt's supposed to go. But I can't get it through there without just lifting the snout of the supercharger slightly to get it in. So we're going to do that now. Get the injectors put back in, do the top end. And once we've got sort of the main engine finished, then we're going to get onto our crash bar, radiators, and put it back together. So team, just finished putting the coolant temperature sensor back in. There's a bit of a bastard because there's a clip like this that you got to push down over the top, and there's quite a lot of pressure required. So you saw me battle away there for about 15 minutes getting that stuck on. We also took this blind vacuum cap off. That's not actually hooked up to anything, and it's got this little cap on it that just blocks any escape of oil. But in saying that, it's also got this little guy here in it. These are a common fault. Sorry, not necessarily this red piece, but the O-ring's a common fault and a vacuum leak potential. And you can see all the reason why, because this O-ring, this is the O-ring, this is literally just garbage. So I actually carry a few of these in stock, these O-rings ready to go. I stupidly never did it on the V12. So one day when I'm sort of in the back of the engine there again, I'll replace that. But that was dumb. I never touched it. I just left. It was right in front of me, and I never replaced the O-ring in it. But yeah, hard as nails. So obviously that could then cause a potential vacuum leak from here. And then if we look also, we've got this, I believe it's like an evap line here that has sort of been popped out for a while, I believe. So I've got a brand new one of these rubber ends here. Like, I believe this part was like $10 just for this, but from what I can tell, this hasn't been working for a long time. Like, it hasn't been plugged in. You can just see all the gunk around the around where it sits there down in the intake, and yeah, everything down here is a bit filthy. So I'd be putting money on that. Yeah, it's been a problem for a while. So we'll pull this off gently. I'll do it off camera. All right, there we go. Oh, that's fine. Got a brand new one of those lying around. This one's not too bad, to be honest. Put that in the old parts bin. So we'll just give that a bit of a clean and I might just go with my pick and just dig whatever I can out of that. Then rehook that up, plug that into the hole down there. You might be able to see it on my camera that I can't see. There it is down there, yep. Give that a quick clean, plug that back in, plug in and put a new O-ring in there, and yeah, reassemble those two bits. So we've got the spark plugs here, fresh spark plugs from FCP Euro, and these ones tell you the torque on the box. I think it's 28 Newton meters, according to this here. So yeah, nice brand new spark plugs. Now FCP accidentally missed one. They only sent me 15, whereas we need 16. Gap's about right, yeah, that's about right. correctly capped. So I'm one short, so I'm just going to leave, you know, like the one in here. I'll put one of the old ones back into here, and I'll just replace it later. So is what it is. Cool. So what I'm going to do, because we've already got 4 out on each bank, first what we're going to do is put a spark plug, a new one, into the existing open holes. Then I'm going to blast the other thing with air again. Then I'm going to do the other 4. So we're just alternating. I don't want to spray air in there now because I just can't remember. I don't think I did clean all of the spark plug holes out. I only did one each. So I just want to do that again quickly. Yeah, so let's get those plugs put in. Surfaces here. We've obviously put the spark plugs in too, 25 Newton meters. We've got our nice fresh new valve covers that have been sealed, so they're good to reinstall. So what we're going to do, team, is we're going to get these lined up to put in with our new seals. We'll line them up with our new seals, put them on, and then we'll put our bolts in to hold them in place, but we're not going to torque them down until we install also the top cap, which we need to just put a silicone seal on first. So this guy here. Now, what was I going to say? So yeah, make sure these grooves here are very clean, because if you don't have them very clean, if there's still oil or residue in there, then you're going to have a leak very quick. So make sure they are sealed properly. So yeah, with the sealing, put them around here, 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 and here, and then it just sits on top of the valve cover. And then we'll torque down the main bolts. Then after we've torqued the main bolts down, we'll insert the small aluminium screws and torque them down as well. Yeah, so it's not difficult, but yeah, before you install, so we don't put this on. I used to do it the wrong way around until I watched another video from Tarsos. I used to put these on with the aluminium screws first, which doesn't make sense at all. And then I'd install the head later, the cover later. Whereas you want to install the cover first and put that on right as you torque everything down, so everything's really secured on there. Cool, let's go. Right team, early morning. today's D-Day. We've booked in for a wheel alignment at 9:45 a.m. Currently it's 6:20 a.m. So we've just got basically 3 hours to get this bumper on, get the guards back in, get the car started, get all the ignition coils back in. I need to I need to re-tap the holes like I've started doing this one. So yes, it should be achievable in 3 hours, but is it actually? I don't know. But is it actually? I don't know. We just need to crack straight into it. So what we're doing first is getting my M6x1 tap that I used on the oil pan. And I'm going around and just recutting these holes for both the coils themselves, but also for the little rubber mounts that the intake stick to. So let's get the tool and get into it. I just conveniently remembered, team. The cutting, or the tap, sorry is the word for it, the tap that I got for the M6x1 bolts is actually the tap to tap the hole that the coil goes into. So it's the wrong flippin' tap. And I only just realized that after 24 hours of thinking about it. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Anyway, what we're gonna do now then instead is work on the bumper. So we're gonna unravel this beautiful bumper behind me here and basically get it refitted. First what we'll do is we'll chuck the headlights in, and I just need to refit the horn, and then we're good to put the bumper on. I'm sorry team, I'm just gonna whack it on and then we can have a look at it. I'm not gonna undress it and show it to you guys beforehand. Yeah, unless I've got spare time. See how we go, let's continue. You can hear those stupid birds running on the roof, making noises. Anyway. We're just putting our headlight cowling or coverings back on, but also getting our headlight washer systems. I'll just give them a quick clean, but basically swapping out these O-rings. So before the O-ring was on it, this is an old one actually, so just taking these old O-rings off, these old green ones. You don't have to, if you don't have them in stock or like on the shelf or something, don't worry about it, don't touch them, they'll be fine. But just for the sake of it, I've got some universal green O-rings. Just pulling these old ones out and chucking a slightly thicker one on, just so that it's got a little bit more of a lip there. Then chucking a little bit of Vaseline on it and test fitting them, and they fit well. I think these are 7.8 mil by 1.9 O-rings, but just feel around which fits best. And then yeah, we can put them back in. So team, we've just gone down the road and gone and picked up a tap. So picked up a M6x1 degree pitch tap, a bottoming tap, so we can do these coil pack screws and also the ones to hold the intake on. So you've seen me put the bumper back on, the bumper's back on the car. It's not a great, well, no, it is a good fit. It looks fine actually. It's just, I've noticed on the left-hand fender, it's either been in a prang at some point, or someone's like really yanked the bumper off and they've bent where it mounts. So it actually just doesn't really flushly connect to the top of the bumper. But once you put it on with a little bit more force than you should have to put on, then it works fine, then it connects up fine. So so for now, everything's all good. we're just going to get these holes tapped out right now and get these coil packs back on. Sweet. Right team, so I've already dumped about 4.5 litres of oil in, so I'm going to chuck another 6 litres in. That's a 5, oh no, wait, that's a 5 litre there. I've got a 6 litre actually. I'll chuck the whole 6 litres in, which will give us a total of 10.5 litres. The capacity of the car is, I believe, 8.5, I think. Oh, it doesn't matter, it's just a 6. So yeah, maybe I'll put 10 litres in, because obviously our oil coolers, all those lines are empty, there's no oil in them at all. So we're definitely going to need to put a bit more in than we would normally put in. We've got our fuel line reconnected, we've got our harnesses connected on the engine there. I do want to remove the fuel relay so we can crank the engine without it starting. So a sort of low RPM, crank. I believe it's this fuse here, if I'm not mistaken. Is it a fuse? Relay. So I'm gonna pull that out, reconnect the power, just check it's not priming, and then we're gonna give it a fuse. Usually you do about 3 lots of 4 or 5 second cranks, and then once we've done that, we'll check the oil. I'll put a bit more through the oil filter here, but we just check that the oil filter is wet, so there's oil pressure being built up in the system there. Cool. Right team, so originally I was thinking the fuse was there in the little fuse box relay area you saw me looking at before. I think I videoed it, but on the E55, of course, it's different. So it's actually in the back here. On this specific model, there's a relay in the back here, so I've removed that. So now I'm good to restart. Hey team, so the fuel pump relay is out. And I've just hooked up the Airmatic shock harnesses and also the power steering, I guess pressure regulator, I believe it is, or yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah, harness as well. I ordered new bracketry down here because this is broken off and these are just a bit crusty and old, but I've ordered the ones, yeah, I've ordered these new brackets here, but they're these ones that are already okay, that aren't actually broken, so I've ordered the wrong ones. It's fine though, because I'm going to just we'll keep them and we'll just order the other ones, and for now I'll just keep it sort of as it is. It's a little bit messy, but anyway, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. Now I'm really pissed off by this, but as you can see here guys, there's a lovely oil leak already out of the sealed cover here I've done. So that's just effing brilliant, like really great to see. This day's just been a shitter. Like I was hoping to have this car being sorted about 5 hours ago at the shop and I haven't even started it yet. We're going to do that right now. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if the whole thing exploded. But yeah, just back to back absolute headaches. Even just trying to find that fuel pump relay took me ages, like an hour. And yeah, this is just brilliant. So now I've got to remove all the coils again, remove the cover, and seal it up. To be honest, I'm probably even considering, just for now, just leaving it, wait till it stops leaking. When it dries, then I'll just put a bead of silicone on it like I did last time. But yeah, words can't explain, honestly. I just don't know. Honestly, I can't be stuffed. But I don't want to be driving it and having this, because this is leaking pretty decently. Like, I've wiped it already a couple of times in the last half an hour, and within a minute or two it's got a streak. So if I drive around, it's going to just leak fucking oil everywhere, and it's going to look shit. So I am not happy with that. But I guess we should at least start it up and see if there's any other leaks anywhere else, and patch those up. Just chuck that oil cap back on for now. So yeah, I don't know. Car's in park. We've got a bit of power steering fluid, which is good. I've put water in the coolant system for now because I'm going to give it a flush. Everything seems to be hooked up. So let's just give it a little quick start and see if it explodes. At this stage, I really don't care. I really do not care. I'm sick of it. So we'll just let it crank. Yeah. That was a fail, team. I just went to start it, clicked it to start the engine, and everything just died. Oh. Let me check something. Right, I think I know why that failed. It was because I hadn't fully done up the negative terminal on the battery. Again, another stupid mistake, but anyway. We should be all right now. Cool, good. So as you heard there, everything spun nicely. There was no interference we could hear. I just literally did it for a second because I didn't want to do it any longer, but that's fine. That sounds good to me, so I think we're good to go. We'll just crank it for a few more seconds and then check the oil filter, but it might take a few of them. Let's check that, team. If it starts up without blowing up, I'll be a little bit happier. But at this stage, everything's a bit of a clusterfuck, to be honest. And I'm doing it like an amateur. Hands are all slippery and oily. Without barely looking, team, I can see that there's definitely oil. Yeah, there's definitely oil in here, which is good. So we've already built up oil pressure. Yeah, cool. Yep. No, that's fine. That'll build up. That's got oil pressure, and our... That really fucks me off, eh? It really annoys me that that's leaking. I might even just chuck the fuel pump relay back in now, team, because it's definitely building oil pressure and stuff. What we need to do is just check the oil level at the same time when we run that again. Cool. Yep, so I'm just going to put that fuel pump relay back in. Relay's back in the fuel pump, so we'll see if it primes now. Don't know why the SBC's still running. It's not like it. I might just need to build up pressure again. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, we're all good. Perfect, that's our first start, team. At least it didn't fucking blow up. That's good. So now I'm just gonna let it sit for a sec, check the oil level, top up the oil level. I'm also gonna just top up this power steering fluid because it'll no doubt be a bit empty. And we'll give it another start. We've also got one park light out here. This park light's not working. Yeah. So the park lamp being out could just be a minor issue. Doesn't matter. That's not important right now. We can fix that easily later. Right, team, she sounds pretty good. Running nicely. Yeah, it's like a bit of oil leaking here, but is what it is. We've put about just under 10 litres of oil in now. This is going to burn off for a while. I just want to check that it's not the actual covers leaking, but it shouldn't be. It should just be the excess oil burning off that sort of sat all over the engine for a little while now. Yeah, so no, it's good. Power steering looks good. I'll just turn the wheeler a few times and just make sure we bleed all the air out of it. But everything seems good so far. The only thing that wasn't working seemed to be the coolant temperature. Yeah, so it is reading, okay. Because as you might have, I don't know if I videoed it before, but on my scanner it was showing negative 250 volts, which means usually there's no signal or it's broken. But it must be working because that is increasing, so there is stuff there. I've also just put coolant flush in, so I've just put a dose of just standard water in, and I've chucked it into the system, and we're just letting it run for about 10 minutes or so. And yeah, we're just leak testing everything now. Just gonna quickly lift the car up and put the guards back in, the guard liners back in, so we can chuck the wheels on and get it down for a wheel alignment.
Oh, well, looky, what do we have here, guys? What do we got here? Oh, we got leaking. I do not know where that's leaking from, but let me have a look. Stand by.
Okay, guys, state of play. So, engine runs, sounds good. I guess that's a good thing. Well, it is a good thing. It operates and it runs well, right? So that's a positive. Sounds good, no misfiring or anything. That's the good thing. The bad thing, leaking valve cover here. We've got a water leak at the front here. I wouldn't have a fucking clue what it is at this stage. It could be what I have traced it to is I've traced it to a part by the water pump. So on the camera, if I look at it, basically where I've got the bolt there, that bolt there, that I think it's an M10 or an M12 bolt. I think it's an M10, whatever. Right on the lip there, that's where it seems to be pulling. And it only happens obviously when the system gets pressure on it. I actually just forgot I need to drain. I've got coolant flush in the car stall. I need to drain all that out before I put it back down and refill it with normal coolant. But yeah, so it's leaking water from there. That's the only place so far. The valve covers themselves, this side's not leaking, this side's not leaking apart from the actual breather itself. So I've got to pull it off anyway now and reseal it, or I don't know, whatever. I've put the wheels back on. I've put the arch guards back in, the wheel well guards, whatever you call them. I haven't fully secured them down. I've just chucked a few screws in there, just so I can get the car off and at least free the hoist up for some other stuff I've got to do. And yeah, so ultimately our biggest problem, or the biggest concern right now, is where's that water leak coming from? Is it literally just the water pump itself leaking, or is there have we got a leak in the timing cover itself? I just don't see how the timing cover could be leaking. if we really think about it, if we recall back to when you put the cover on, you've got 2 circular O-rings, if I'm not mistaken, that are your O-rings that basically secure the block to the front of the engine where your water pump sits. I just don't see how the hell those could possibly have been breached or broken. So in my eyes, it must be the water pump leaking. It's not the thermostat. I've checked the thermostat, it's fine, but it must be the water pump that's leaking. So, you know what, I'm not even going to refill it with coolant at this stage. I'm just going to empty it out. I don't want to put water in it because I don't want it to corrode or anything, but I'm literally just going to have to, park it outside 5 minutes. Not ideal letting it run for more than probably half a minute, to be honest. Or do I just fill it up with coolant? Because I don't want to... You know what I'm going to do? I'm probably going to park it, and then tomorrow I'll come out and How much time will it take to strip this front part off again to get to the water pump? We'd have to take the supercharger off. Supercharger, idler pulley. I can't remember if the actual crankshaft pulley blocks any of the bolts. Hopefully not. Otherwise, we're going to pull the crankshaft off again, which will just be absolutely fantastic. But getting the fan shroud out, getting the belt off, getting the water pump pulley off. What do? Do you reseal it? I don't know. If we could at least strip it back a bit and get it exposed, we can at least see where the water's leaking out of. So, I'm not sure if I'm keen to leave radiator flush in the car overnight. It's probably not a good idea. I'll probably just dump it out for now and tomorrow refill it again with water. I don't know. Anyway, let's continue. So folks, day after, needed the rest of the day off to not go mental. I've traced the leak. Originally I thought it was on the bottom of the oil pan, which obviously wouldn't make sense. But after several attempts, I've traced it to being this bolt here in the timing cover. That even when there's no pressure in the system at all, when it's just got water in it, it literally leaks through and drips out. So there's a clear issue with how I sealed the timing cover. I don't know if you can see on the camera here, but see that bottom screw there? It's not that one, it's the one right above it, just sort of concealed behind the thermostat there. It's that top shadowed hole is where water's leaking out. Right team, so car's back on the hoist, and this is the hole that's leaking here. This little hole here. I was looking at a video from XF Motorsports, and he on his video showed that you need to put a sealant bead around that port there, as well as a few of the bolts that we already know about, like the bolt hole down here and stuff. So I've got silicone RTV ready to go. I'm going to silicone those now, and then just carefully rotate this back over and reattach it to the block. So thankfully I haven't had to remove that top bolt fully, and I haven't had to take all this off to get it up, so that's good, because I thought I was going to have to remove all this again to lift the supercharger up to pull that bolt out, so that's good at least. But yeah, it looks, when I put the camera in there, the stethoscope in there, not stethoscope, what's the word, the whatever it's called, camera thing, you can see inside the coolant jacket, so it's clearly water pissing out through there because it hasn't been sealed. So RTFM next time, read the FN manual. To be honest, I didn't even see anywhere where it tells you to seal that hole up, but I did look at it the other day, this morning, look at it on my phone and go, I wonder what that hole is, like what's the purpose of it? So it must be to circulate coolant around to, I don't know, I don't even know.
So let's get some silicon on that. I might just chuck some on there as well, and also that bolt hole there. Just a bead around each of them, and then reseal it. Sweet. Right team, so another day, day after. So I've had the little pulley sealed on. It's been there for about nearly 24 hours now, so that's good to go. We've also put our I've taken the valve cover off, and I just spent flipping ages prying this son of a bitch off. It was very well. I thought I did a good job. I guess I did in some areas, but obviously not in this area. It was a mission to get this pulled off with its fresh seal the whole way around, but I did get it off. I cleaned it up. Yeah, made a little bit of a mess on some of the freshly painted surfaces, but yeah, I don't care at this stage, unfortunately. So let that dry for 24 hours or so. So it's all back on. I don't know if it's leaking or anything. There's a few little marks there from before, I believe. But yeah, fuel rails all hooked up again, so we're good to start it up. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to let it sit for a little bit longer. I'm going to go mow some lawns, and what I am going to do is fill it up with coolant. And this time I'm chucking the good stuff straight in. I'm not mucking around. We're going to chuck the coolant straight in. I'm going to go mow some lawns, come back, and hope there's not a puddle of coolant below. If there's not, then I'll start it up, let it get up to temp. I need to obviously put the coils back on this bank too. And then yeah, start it up, let it run for 10, 20, 30 minutes, bleed the system, and hope there's no leaks. And if there's no leaks, then perfect. Take all this shit off, put the supercharger back on, hook it all up, put our engine cover on, which I've got here. So I've got, this is our engine cover. The belt took out the old one. And here's one of the old hubcap center caps. As you can see, I've let these just go to waste. But you can clean them up, funnily enough. I'm going to give it a go. They may look toast, but you can, with some elbow grease, clean them up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break these little tabs off and separate this badge here from here, and you'll see they're basically the same badge, right? I'll pull this out of here without cutting my hand, yeah, without bending it as well. I'll do it off camera, or I'll do it on time lapse. Put that on there, glue it on, and then obviously we'll have hopefully some tabs left over to then secure it into the old case here, once we all obviously clean it up first as well. Cool. So, and then that'll have the engine cover fixed without spending flipping like $500 on a brand new one, because they're not cheap to replace. So let's fill the coolant up. Right team, so restarted her. Idling nice and tidy. Everything sounds good. Hopefully no more leaks develop on the cover here, otherwise I'll be really pissed off. We've only got one malfunction, and that is the washer fluid level, which is fine. We'll just lift it up and we'll have a look underneath. Can't beat brand new headlight lenses, they always look really nice. Just need to give this bumper a good clean, and we also need to try, if we can, and fill, like sand these back and fill them maybe. Without having to pay someone a lot of money to do that. So there's a bit of coolant, a bit of oil I need to get off the bottom there from the leak we had on the top of the engine. You can see oil even up on the
base of the actually, even on these hoses here, team, see there's a bit of oil up there on the power steering hose. I don't know if that's power steering fluid or not, but it's possibly. Let's see if I can find out what that is. But yeah, we'll just clean all that off. I'd like to say that we've probably fixed that coolant leak, so that's good. Here's hoping. Cool, okay, let's get this cleaned up. Right, Tim, you can already see with just a bit of metal polish. I could still go over it one more time and get it really perfect, but I'm not super fussy. But you can see it's gotten rid of basically all that sort of, I don't know what you call it, it's like sort of corrosion looking sort of stuff over the cap. If I just show you the another wheel in the car, like this one here, before I get these mags redone, see that like build up? You'll find it on a lot of them. Just a little bit of a gentle clean and some metal polish does the trick. Sometimes they'll be too far gone, but to save yourself $25 US ish per one of these genuine, that's a really good buy. So try that first. But anyway, what we're going to do now is we're going to detach this one. This one's our donor. We're going to detach it from the actual cap itself. I'm just trying to understand how this one works, whether they're pressed on. I should be getting the grinder out and sort of cutting it off. Yeah, let me fiddle with it. Sweet, there we go, team. So all I did was just trimmed these little mounting pins here. I just clipped them, and it was enough to sort of basically let me press it out of this original cap here, which is a shame because it's still actually in real nice condition, but it's sort of useless, so it could just go in the bin. Or you could find other uses for it. You could make a custom decal bloody center cap thing if you wanted to, or something silly. Anyway, so now we've got that out. Bring up our genuine factory original cover. And remember on here, team, we've got this as well. So we need to pry this off. If we look closely here, just be careful you don't bend it. There's like a little, I'm sure it'll be very brittle and fragile now. But there's a little thing, yeah, there we go. Holding this badge in. What we'll probably do, there we go, simple. Unfortunately, see, this is the problem. So straight away, I can say that we're going to have to, we're going to have to probably cut all of these off, or back anyway, so we can get this to sit in behind it. And then from what I can see on here, it's just a shame you can't buy these badges new. Yeah, see, so this is the problem, team, is that we've got on this one. If someone on here watching has done this before and maybe has a different method as well, let us know, because I'm keen to still keen to obviously no doubt know from what other people do. Yeah, so the problem with our method here is going to be that we're going to just have to direct glue it sort of around the seam here, which is fine, but it's not ideal. You know, it's not really ideal. I'd rather have it sort of this original mounted one here. Does anyone know where you can buy these? Because I don't believe, they definitely don't sell them individually, that's one thing for sure. So yeah, on our one here we're going to have to remove all these. I might even have to get my Dremel or little grinder out and just further sort of burr these off so that they don't let the badge protrude. Yeah, so basically the exact same badge, it's just got different mounting strips on it. So if we can get this here, yeah, if we can get that there like that, like that's going to look pretty good. Before we do anything though, obviously we'll just go around and clean the whole cover up and get rid of all the dirt off it that was inflicted on it when we snapped the belt. But definitely make sure you get all these mounting areas really cleaned up so the glue holds on well. Cool, let's continue. Right team, so getting a bit creative. You saw me refix the badge. To be honest, I've used a just a sort of standard plastic, high temp resistant, water resistant glue, which I'm happy with, but it's also not great. It's also not great. I probably should have just, I've got a yeah, sort of 2-pot epoxy that I've got, so you can see here I've just done little glue marks and one in the center as well, and you can't see the glue through here apart from a teeny bit in the corner, which when it's dry I'm going to try and pick it a bit, and then also the badge at the top here, there's a bit of a gap, see, so what I'm going to do is leave it, see if it holds. Just a bit of weight on the top of that there. Even just something as simple as my torch might help. Just give it that bit of weight, maybe. Just to sort of hold it down. I need something a little bit heavier actually. So I just sit on there. Yeah. You can I was going to say like the supercharger would be good. Anyway, I'm going to find something heavy to weight on top of it. Could even use my multiplexer. My multiplexer that seems to keep breaking. such like a amateur job anyway. But yeah, let's leave this. I'm going away for a couple of days, so we'll cut back shortly when I'm back and we'll see if that's worked. But yeah, I've done that before on several bends I've got, and I've never had an issue, including this one here. This badge came off and I re-glued it on and it's still sitting there good as gold. So, and I used the same glue, so we should be all right. Anyway, underneath the engine, after we ran it up, there's been no coolant leaks since. So in summary, that one hole helped, was obviously the key culprit. So that's good to see that that's finally fixed. Awesome. And yeah, thanks to XF Motorsports, his video helped me there identify that, because for some reason I couldn't find it on my computer. That's why I never did it from day one. So anyway, yeah, let's continue. Cool team. So a few days later, been away for a few days, come back. There's no leaking coolant now down the bottom there. There's no major oil build-up on the base of the oil pan, so these covers don't look like they're leaking anymore, which is good. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the supercharger back on, torque it down a bit, put the belt back on, and then put the intakes on, and go get it regassed, get the AC regassed, and also get some new tyres put on the back. But we'll probably leave the under engine trays off for now. I'll probably just reinstall the front one here and just leave the mid one off. Or maybe we'll put them both on, I don't know. At the end of the day, we need to get the car back up again and just check it after 100 Ks or so of driving. So yeah, maybe I will put the covers on just to be safe. Cool. Also, our new engine cover, or a revived engine cover, I guess. Looks pretty good. Yeah, no, it looks really good actually. Apart from that little mark up the top there where obviously it sat in the hole. Yeah, it's actually come up bloody good. Yeah, that's actually really good. I'm really happy with that. Awesome. Cool. Well, that fixed that. Hopefully it stays on. It's definitely solid. It's not moving or going anywhere. Yeah. But right team, so good progress. Our supercharger's back on. We've got our new air filters in, which is good. The old ones are pretty dirty, and I replaced these back when I bought the car about 3 years ago. So they are due for they're definitely due for a replacement. These aren't too bad though. You know, a lot of them I buy, these will be all cracked and snapping off, and they'll be a lot darker. Yeah, so not too bad, but definitely to be done. So what we're going to do now is start it up and go for a quick drive. Before I drive it, I won't film it because it's just extra time. I'm just going to check the transmission fluid level at 25 degrees Celsius on the scanner and just make sure that it's the correct level, and I'll top it up a bit if needed. And what else aside from that? We'll just check the engine oil level. Check the engine oil level. There's a few other bits to do just to put some trims back in the boot, but under the hood, that's pretty much it for now. I think we can put this back on, finally, after about probably 4 months in total. Before I do that, I'll just make sure I don't forget that one last clip. it's a good feeling. And saying that, touch wood, obviously, doesn't mean that we're not going to have other issues come up, but I feel like we've got it sussed so far. One thing I did break the other day was this little hose here, this expansion tank hose. I broke it off at this end, and I just used a bit of JB Weld and stuck it back together, and now it's solid as, but I have ordered a brand new one off the internet, so we'll wait till that gets here, and we'll just swap that out as well for peace of mind. Also got some new hood struts, and I've also got a new hood blanket here, but I'm not going to replace that probably until I get the hood like sort of detailed or cleaned up, because right now it's pretty filthy. Looks pretty good. Like if we look at that front end, like it's not, yeah, you can see it's not perfectly aligned, eh? Compared to this side with the perfect sort of symmetrical lines, whereas the side's just slightly out there. I don't know if it's like if it's the actual bumper or if it's interesting. Actually, when you look at it, team, the hood, it's strange. The hood's like, wouldn't say I'm still stoked with that actually. We're gonna have to have a look at that later. But anyway, for now, let's get back on the road. Right team, so car's back on the hoist. We've got a leaking, I think I've already mentioned it, but if I haven't, we've got a leaking expansion hose. So this hose here connects into this upper radiator line. Where the hell is it? There it is, right there. My finger is routes through there and up into the tank. I broke it off the other day. I re-glued it with JB Weld, like I mentioned, I believe, before. And unfortunately, the JB Weld's obviously not really rated for that heat level. So it sort of was melting away and it was dripping. Oh, it's already dripping actually. Dripping coolant where it's leaking from there, which is fine, I don't care. As long as it's not leaking from the timing cover, I am more than happy to deal with what I've got. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to pop team these, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to use some glass polish. I think I've got some glass polish. Give these a quick polish up and take these covers off. Right team, so engine looks real nice. Everything's back together, looking factory. But yeah, as I say, we've had an issue with this connection here leaking. I had some JB Weld on it, and as the engine heated up, the JB Weld just loosened up and it started leaking coolant again. So we've had a coolant leak. You can actually see it on the bottom of the engine down there, the sort of shiny stuff. It's probably leaking on the floor as well. Yeah, a little bit there. So not ideal, but not the end of the world. I love the new AMG cap I added from the C63. It's a lot nicer than the standard oil cap. It looks like, I think, our valve covers aren't leaking anymore, so that's good. Touch wood. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to remove this here. So basically there's one on here
like that, and then there's one on the bottom of that one there. It's at the bottom, so I'm just going to use a pin tool to pull that out, and then we've got our brand new. So sorry, let me clarify. I'm still waiting for the full new hose to arrive from FCPO from the US, but it's delayed, so it's not here yet still, frustratingly. So I've got pretty much an operating car apart from one fucking piece of plastic. So StarTech here in New Zealand, who's a Mercedes-Benz supplier, OEM, / genuine parts supplier, they said you can use this, just replace this piece, which is perfect because that's all that's broken. So what we're going to do is see how easily we can pull that old one out. I don't know how easy or hard it is, but we'll try that because that will fix the problem. So let's get into it. So I just use a pick tool to dig out the crumbs, just gently. Just be careful you don't prick through the plastic here, but thankfully this plastic's actually pretty flippin' tough, so it's good. Now the old snout on this piece here, this is the old ones, they snap off, common on pretty much most bloody cars. This is the same, so that's perfect, but the length of this part's different. This one's a bit longer. So I've pressed it in, I've heated it up with a butane torch as you saw. If you don't have a butane torch, you could probably even just like put the bloody thing in the oven for about 20 minutes on a 80 to 100 degrees maybe, and it would soften it up. Do that at your own liability. But yeah, and then I'll push this on. I've pushed it in further than the original, and as it cools down, it will basically, like it's already pretty much stuck in there, it ain't coming out. So that should hold. I'll probably still put the brand new one in when I get it, but for now, stupid camera, this will do fine. So we'll chuck this back in the car, and lovingly I've got about 2 litres of flippin' coolant all over the floor now, so that's brilliant, and over the power steering tank and things, so that's just lovely. Right team, so the coolant squeaked off the belts, so they're clean now. Refilled this. Doesn't look like it's leaking anymore. It'll take a while to get up to temp anyway. Just be very careful when you put your fingers obviously down there when it's running. Yeah, we'll put the cover on once I know we're happy. I don't want the cover to get destroyed again if the belt snaps. We'll go for a quick drive. Right team, just driving some back roads with the E55. Anyway, so car's good. There's no knocking or clunking or ticking or banging or flipping bombing so far. Temp's holding at 87, which is good. So thermostat's working. Still got half a tank of gas, probably pretty old gas now. It's about 3.5 months old. My steering wheel alignment's really good, so that's why we're getting an alignment this afternoon, providing we don't have any issues. Touch wood, but also wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, so aside from my terrible steering alignment, we seem to be back on the road and operating, which is great. Just going to drive the car for about probably 4 or 5 Ks, so about 5-10 minutes first. Just nice and gently, let everything get up to temp, let all the oil start circulating around properly. It's already been running for probably 25 minutes, 30 minutes all up, but it's just been idling there. It hasn't been sort of run through the gears or anything, so this is obviously important for that reason. Then I'll give it a little bit of gas, and you guys can enjoy that part. And yeah, we'll see how we go. But yeah, we're getting some new tyres on soon, new rear tyres. Our front Pilot Sport 5s are still good. So we'll get the rear Pilot Sport 5s put on today and take the Pilot Sport 4s off, which have done pretty well, considering they're about 2.5 years old now.
But yeah, we started back in back in August. The end of August, I think we started on this job. So around the 26th or 7th or 8th of August, I think, from memory. And it's now the 5th of December 2024. So September, I guess if you count a full month, September, October, November, it's pretty much 2 months and 3 weeks. 2 months and no. October, November, December. 3 months, sorry, and 2 weeks. Could this job been done quicker? 100%. It could be done if you had all the parts, if you had the engine mount that I've got now, if we had the what else went wrong? You know, the sway bar connections and all that jazz. You could bang this job out, I think, in about 3 weeks comfortably, part-time, or full-time probably in a week and a bit, you know, in about 30-40 hours. I'm sure some of you go, I can do it a lot quicker. Well, that's good for you, but yeah, I'm too cautious, I guess. I'm not a perfectionist, but I'm also not like someone who just smashes stuff out. So yeah, I'd say it's on par as well with the V12 rebuild job I did. And bear in mind, the V12, I pulled the whole engine and gearbox out. This was still easier, I guess, in terms of there's no ABC suspension and bits and pieces, but it was still a bit of a bastard of a job to do regardless. And we've had way more headaches, funnily enough, with this job than the V12. The V12 was a bit of a fluke, I think. I really was able to get that right without much issues after putting it back together. Whereas this car's really given me quite a few headaches, as you know if you've watched the whole series. But yeah, seems to be working well. Just got a little bit of... Fortunately, all our roads here in the Auckland region are this road's a 60 kilometre an hour road, which is about 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour. They used to be 100 when I was growing up here, which is about 60 miles an hour, 62 miles an hour. But yeah, they just keep slowing us down, no matter how much car technology improves and theoretical, you know, driver safety and driver education improves, we drive slower and slower. That's why we're the relaxed, cruisy nation. We're not really going places. But right, team, so I did touch wood, but we do have a little issue. We've got no supercharger, which is interesting because I put my foot down a little bit before, just gently, and I was like, oh yeah, this feels good, feels like it's got some power. Then next minute, okay, I'll put my foot down a bit more, and then it sort of like topped off. It felt, to be honest, it feels slower than my than the 210, which is naturally aspirated 370 horsepower by default. Oh yeah, I felt that in the suspension. I haven't fully done up the suspension system yet, but yeah, foot down, we've got no power. So and I stupidly didn't bring my scanner with me, so we're just gonna cruise back home and give her a scan and see what's wrong. My assumption would be is I in theory haven't properly bled the intercooler circuit, and I feel like that can possibly trip the supercharger to not work if the supercharger is not getting adequate cooling, or the charge air, sorry, isn't getting adequate cooling through the intercoolers. So we'll check that out. If anything, we might find that, oh yeah, I can feel that in the suspension. If anything, we might find that we might find that the coolant level is down and we need to fill up more coolant and bleed it into the system. And you might remember there's a little rubber nipple right beside the idlers. So we might need to pull that sucker off and follow the correct bleeding procedure, which I'll check out on WIS if need be. Flipping trucks with their bloody dust and shit. So yeah, we'll do that, and should be good to go. But it likely won't be anything wrong. If it was a sensor or something, we should probably have had an engine light, and we haven't, so I'm just going to assume it's something minor, like a lack of flow through the coolant. And I definitely have had the coolant pump for the secondary cooling, sorry, for the intercooler system. I definitely did plug the pump back in, and I did hear it running as well a while ago. So the pump itself helps circulate coolant through the system. So I imagine there's just some air pockets in there that we need to bleed out. So yeah, let's give it a go. So Tim, you know how I said to you before the charge air cooler circulation pump was plugged in? It's saying now that there's a short circuit to ground, which is interesting. I don't know why that would be. So team, unfortunately we still have that fault coming up. Cleared the codes, restarted, and came right back up again. So not the end of the world, at least the car still drives. So our pump's just located in the front here, behind this wheel arch. So maybe we lift the front of the car up. I sort of can't be fucked, quite frankly, but yeah, anyway. We could lift the front of the car up to get enough room to just see what's going on with that pump. Take the wheel arch liner out. Not too hard to do. Right team, on the side of the road, after a bit of diagnosing, I realised during the debacle with the fuel pump relay and fuel pump fuse, I pulled out the fuel pump relay in the rear SAM of the car, which on the W211, it's not actually in the rear SAM, it's on a separate unit on the right-hand side of the trunk in its own little special mount. But I wouldn't normally do this, but I've obviously gone and put the relay back into the number 3 hole, or the C relay socket instead of the A relay socket. Thankfully the C one's just a reserve, so it doesn't do anything. But the reason nothing's worked, I believe, is because I put the relay which controls the oil pump fan, and I imagine also, because they're side by side, the secondary intercooler pump, or the intercooler pump. So now I've cleared that code and it says gone. So live on TV or live on video, we're going to see if the flippin' supercharger works now. So we'll just even a little bit. Yes, that's better. That's better. Didn't hear it go chick. You know, the little engagement noise it makes, but you can hear the like from the supercharger, so that's good. We've got extremely good grip with Michelin Pilot Sport 5s on the back. Too good for fun, but yeah, that's better. They got the power back now, thank God for that. Okay, there we go. Now you just saw, obviously it was up on the hoist there. I was just getting the wheels replaced at our local shop, and thankfully they stayed late for me to get under there and help them torque the control arms down. Obviously you saw the hoist it was on. You can have the car in the fully in the full, what do you call it, driving position, whereas normally you don't get the benefit of that on a standard hoist without like sort of artificially jacking the wheels up, which you don't really want to do. But yeah, so yeah, we've got slow drivers here. Anyway, let's cut to some country roads. So So team, before we get into those wide open throttles while we're driving out to the back roads, yeah, just glad to have this bloody effing job finished. I'm sort of over it now. Got our new tyres on, got the car back together. Numerous hiccups like this relay, for example, putting the wrong slot, the bloody having to remove the oil pans again. There was lots of stuff ups in this series that hopefully if you guys are approaching it, you can learn from some of my mistakes. I'm glad to say though, the front end feels really good now. I feel like I've also eliminated the issue where I had a lot of knocking from the front end, and I believe it was because fundamentally I didn't have the bloody sway bar links done up properly, didn't have them torqued up enough, or it could be the sway bar itself. But there's no sort of knocking from the front now, which is awesome, because I had it knocking for years and it's just driven me fucking nuts. But yeah, the car drive's good now, it's really nice. Hopefully, so yeah, give it a couple of weeks. I'm going to do another video probably in the next 2 or 3 months, team, with we're going to do a full brake job on this car. Again, it'll be a lot easier than the jobs we've just done. Full brake job. I'm going to also get some of the suspension, the wheel arches, clean all that up, probably water blast, clean up the wheel arches. I've got some new bracketry to mount a lot of the electrical harnesses and sensors on, since the existing ones are broken and they're just sort of hanging there at the moment. Not ideal, so we're going to pull that up, do the brakes, do all of that. We're going to get the wheels refurbished fully, including the inner barrels. So fully stripped back, repainted in the original AMG silver. I think there's a special name for it, but just the factory colour. We've got brand new genuine wheel nuts with the Mercedes star on them. Like, we're just going to mint out the wheels, mint out the brakes, and get it all looking smart. So if you like the series, if you didn't like it, whatever, I hope you enjoyed it. And if you do enjoy it, just subscribe so I know that what I'm doing works well. Jesus, get out of the way. But anyway, team, that's Matty231 signing off. Part 4, we'll have another video with an update of how everything's progressing, but let's do some driving. First wide open throttle, guys. Hopefully we don't blow up. Woo. Pull's good. Feels maybe a little bit underpowered, but I've been driven this in so long I wouldn't have a clue, to be honest. I do have the TJ Mary tune on this car, on the transmission. Pulls good. Got the TJ Mary TCU tune, well worth the money. I think it's like $200 US, but it lifts your red line from I think 6.8 to about 7,000 RPM, and the gear changes are sharper, especially for the 5G. And it also holds the gears and things like that. Not that I've really ever done that on this car yet.